Hey guys, so it's an interesting video on Wild Rift. Today we're back with a Lucian supplementary guide. And this one, as you can see, is pretty obvious. This is basically going for Solari Chargeblade Lucian, as the title implies. Also really exciting because in like a couple of hours, they're going to be releasing the patch 3.2 preview, so really excited to see what's coming up. From the thumbnail itself, you can already see Nautilus in the thumbnail, so I'm gonna assume those are one of the new champions, so that's really exciting. But anyways, we're gonna quickly just talk about the Solari Chargeblade Lucian build, and then we can move on to the gameplay. So first up, obviously you start with Stormrazor, just because Stormrazor is the best broken ADC item at the moment. But on Lucian, he doesn't benefit from Stormrazor so much because he doesn't really care about stats like the attack speed, but he still wants it for like just the cost efficiency, like attack damage, etc. But I feel if Stormrazor gets nerfed or Essence Reaver gets buffed, Lucian will go back to building Essence Reaver in my opinion. Either way, you go for a 2 power spike of IE second. And this time for the boots, you actually can go for the Gluttonous Greaves, because in a full crit build without Bloodthirster, you kind of are lacking a little bit in terms of Vamp, so the Gluttonous Greaves is an option. Of course, Defensive Boots also an option. Enchant normally will be Stasis or Protobelt, depending on what you need for the match. Anyways, third item, Solari Chargeblade. Of course, Solari Chargeblade being the third item, gives you 75% crit, no longer gives you 100% crit, but you can crit. You do have magic critical damage. Now this is important for in two aspects. Firstly, when you're at 75% crit, that magic damage can crit as well, and that's going to give you a lot of damage. Generally, one crit does like over 500 damage at the minimum, like maybe 600-700 damage. We'll see later. And also it gives you a bit of mixed damage, so if they itemize physical defense against you, you at least will do some magic damage against them, so that is also another benefit. And then you move on to the Seralda's Grudge, which will of course give you that slow, particularly useful with your ultimate, as well as the armor penetration. And finally the GA for the revive. If your GA is down, your best bet is to go for a Bloodthirster to finally get yourself 100% crit and then lifesteal. Otherwise, you can also go for defensive options like Maw of Marmortius. Alright, so another thing you can do is you can actually also swap over and build Seralda's Grudge as your third item if there are certain games where you prefer having the slow and you need actually armor pen against a tanky team, and it's not as important to go for straight up damage. And yeah, for the runes, obviously Conqueror with the triple Hunter runes, because Lucian, when he goes in, he doesn't want to get CC'd, he wants that lifesteal, and of course he also wants that CDR to cast his abilities more often, being a caster ADC. Spells, obviously, it's Flash and Exhaust. You can also go for Barrier. So, with all that out of the way, we can just straight off just jump right into the gameplay. Alright, so here we have the gameplay. So, anyways, basically I want to actually cover when you go for this build and when you go for the normal Bloodthirster build. Now, in my opinion, the default build for Lucian is the Bloodthirster build, because I think Lucian, being a kind of like Burst Marksman who just goes in, cast spells and all that, benefits a ton from the Bloodthirster sustain, so that he can heal up as much damage as he outputs. Because of his short range, he does take a lot of damage, so having that sustain is going to be really helpful in your trades, in your fights, etc. However, Solari Chargeblade at the end of the day gives you a lot more damage. So basically, you want to go for Solari Chargeblade if you want more damage and if you're fed. So generally, I will only consider the Chargeblade build if I'm significantly ahead in the match. If not, I would always go for the Bloodthirster build. Even if I'm significantly ahead, I have to assess the situation. If there are like a lot of like fighters or a lot of tanks, I still think I would go for the Bloodthirster build, because it'll be a lot more useful in a longer term skirmish. But if the enemy team is very squishy, then the Solari Chargeblade build is going to be better. Now in this game, if you take a look, we have a Sona, Akshan, and a Veigar who are all really squishy. Lee Sin, who is on the squishier side, at least compared to other fighters like, you know, Darius and Garen, Riven, or whoever. Lee Sin is definitely on the squishier side, so he's not squishy, but he's not a very tanky fighter. Then we of course have Singed, who is actually really tanky. So because majority of the team is pretty squishy, pretty burstable, I did decide to go for Solari Chargeblade build in this particular match, and also because I got a hit in the early game, which we will see a little bit later on. But yeah, that's the main reason why I decided to go for the Solari Chargeblade build. in this particular match instead of going for the normal Bloodthirster build. But I would still think that in a good 80% of games, you would still go for the Bloodthirster build. Maybe one in every 5 games, then you would probably go for the Solari Chargeblade kind of build. Either way, here we're laning against an Akshan and a Sona. So Sona, as we know in the early game, is relatively weak, so we do want to try to abuse her if we can. Lucian especially very good in the early game, very aggressive, but the issue is Akshan can be pretty aggressive in the early game as well. If he gets off a good, well-timed swing, he can do like about half of my health, so I do have to be cautious to not overcommit. So that's the main reason why I haven't just straight up just dashed straight onto the Sona's face. If she was with a weak early game champion like a Jinx or a Vayne, I'm just dashing straight on in and just gonna deal my damage. So either way, because of the fact that we can't go straight in, Sona is actually getting off relatively good poke with her Q, so they are playing the laning phase really well. But basically what I want to do here is I want to try to poke them with my Q through the minions if possible, which is what I was trying to do there. But honestly, with Sona sustained, she can sort of hold on and not take too much damage, but we don't want to be too impatient as well. We are in a lot more damagey and early game champion compared to other ADCs, but we still don't want to, you know, lose our cool, lose our patience, and yeah, whatnot. But here I see an opportunity, so I do go in full combo onto the Akshan, and I almost kill him, but not quite, and I do take a ton of damage in return. Gotta pop the Janna ultimate to sort of keep me safe, keep me topped up on health. So overall, it's a trade of ultimates. The only person with ultimate left is Sona. Of course, Akshan ultimate is honestly relatively useless as far as ultimates go. So overall, you could say that they won that trade because me and Janna both had to pop out, whereas only Akshan popped out, and Akshan's out is relatively useless anyway, so I think we got quite behind on that trade. But either way, we do manage to actually shove Sona out of the lane, but we are both relatively low, no, not really that low, but we do want to get off a reset before Dragon and Herald spawn in case there is a fight that will break out. Here Darius actually goes in, so I actually did cancel my back because I was considering actually backing him out, but I realized that they're way too close to the tower, and even if I walk back over there, nothing's gonna come of it. The best I can hope is that Darius just doesn't die to them, which thankfully he doesn't. So we get our BF sword and our Kirkai shard. If you don't get a kill in the laning phase before Dragon, you aren't normally gonna be able to complete Stormrazor. So we do get both item components, and we're a little bit off of Stormrazor. Here the fight has already broken out in the somewhere between the mid lane and the Dragon area. So here I'm just biding my time, waiting for an opportunity to go in. Singe overextends a bit, so I just throw my spells onto him. I can hit Lee Sin, so I'm hitting onto Lee Sin, who is the jungle, of course. We do get the kill onto Lee Sin. Akshan swings in, I dash away, and I exhaust him for the double kill. We see some low health bars, particularly on Singed and Veigar. Here, I flash in. I tried to Q through the Sona to get the kill onto Singed, but I don't quite hit the Q through onto the Singed. Instead, I actually do so much damage that I actually just Q auto the Sona, and she actually dies to the Light Slinger passive. This is what I was referring to on how Sona is really very squishy in the early game. So I can kill her very easily, like as you guys can see there. So she did play the laning phase pretty well overall, and just not letting me kill her. Here we almost get a kill onto the Singed, but Janna does die instead. Lee Sin hits the Q, I dodge away from Vega's W, dashing away from the Lee Sin and escaping with my life. Kinda ran out of mana there after that final dash, but we're all good. So here we can pick up our Stormrazor as well as probably boots and some other item components because of that triple kill. So here's Stormrazor, boots, and a cloak. Alright, so yeah. So as you guys can see, Lucian very strong in the early game as always, but honestly I really don't think Lucian is as plus tier after playing him even on games where I'm ahead. I just feel like on other champions, if I was ahead, like on a Kai'Sa or a Vayne, like the game would be so much better than a Lucian. So I think Lucian's power level gone down by quite a bit from Solari Chargeblade buff, and just because he doesn't quite benefit from Stormrazor as much as other ADCs. But either way, the Dragon fight round 2 is back on, so everybody respawn. We're back to the Dragon for round 2 of the fight. So here pretty much is going to be a 50-50 burger flip on who's gonna get it, because both junglers are around. Lee Sin goes in, Lee Sin manages to steal, and the Olaf is a pretty horrible smiter. We will see that a little bit on later into the game, but Olaf is a horrible smiter, so unfortunately Lee Sin steals the Ocean Dragon. Overall, I don't think it's too bad. I think that overall in this entire sequence, I did get a triple kill and I believe an assist or two. So overall, I'm still fine with it. I think losing Ocean Dragon for like, you know, getting a ton of kills is worth it. Although of course we were meant to get that Ocean Dragon because we were the team that was doing it, just that Olaf couldn't quite smite so well. But yeah, as you can see, 5k gold, we got the most gold in the game. Not by a huge margin, but still. So the fight actually in the time that I've backed is still ensuing. So I managed to recall, not bias, but recall get health and come all the way back and the fight is still going on. So here I'm trying to focus the Sona because I did believe she was squishy and I could instantly burst her. Unfortunately, she did get a little bit out of my range, so I can't quite do so. And my whole team is now going to back and reset, so I'm not going to do anything overly aggressive because I am completely alone and there is no one nearby. Maybe Olaf at his blue buff, but still that's quite a long ways away. So of course now, although I do say that we need to play safe, and we do, of course with a triple kill in the early game with a huge goal lead, you want to be using that goal lead to abuse the enemies if possible. Here I get 2 more plates. I flash away from Yakshan, and his ult doesn't do too much damage, so it doesn't actually manage to kill me, which is all good. I did manage to get the greedy 2 tower plates and get out with it, although I did have to blow my flash, but overall not a big deal. Lux does come off the rotation, contributing both her ult as well as her presence to keep them off of me, so I did give her the thumbs up as a show of appreciation. So here I'm just waiting around in base for my BF sword because I'm just like about 50 plus gold away from the BF sword. So sometimes you can wait for a couple of seconds just to complete, you know, an item or an item component that is significant. So we are gonna hit back over to the lane. There's a huge skirmish happening in the bottom side of the map, but we are way too far away to really contribute to that. We do see the Akshan as well as the Sona rotating down to join that fight. So this basically means that I can get a free tower because we know that they are not going to be anywhere near us. Akshan actually does manage to go in and kill the Lux, reviving the Lee Sin. Unfortunately, so they did get something out of that long roam from the top side of the map to the bottom side of the map. But here I'm just not only going to get the tower, but I'm also going to steal their fruit and clear the wave. Because no one is nearby. They're either dead, respawning, or on the bottom side of the map. So really free one for me. Here Lee Sin does finally show up off his respawn, off the revive from Akshan. But I do have my exhaust up and ready, and if he didn't want to fight me there, I was going to win that fight. Because I'm fed and because I have my exhaust. So he does wisely back away. So here, I'm seeing if anybody's going to walk by. No one is. So I'm just going to hit over to the mid lane and just pretty much clear up the wave. Alright, so getting that wave has given me enough gold to pick up the Infinity Edge. So here I'm just going to back and purchase that Infinity Edge. So 2 Iron Power Spike completed, 5-0 and... Sorry, not 5-0, 3-0 and 1. Gave myself an extra 2 kills out of nowhere. Now here, honestly, I was shopping in the shop and I auto-pathed to top lane, but whereas obviously there's a Herald that is spawned, there's a huge fight in the bot side of the map, so really big really big my bad on my end, where I basically arrived 5 seconds later than I should, and my team kind of pays the price for it. But either way, I find a good engage onto Sona, get rid of the Sona, and give myself a defensive culling to ensure that the enemies can't chase me and the Janna, because it's only the 2 of us. So they are on the Herald. Akshan tries to go in on Janna. Really nice tornado by Janna to disrupt him. I get flipped by Singed, but I flash back. Unfortunately, right into the cage. I do get the kill onto Singed, and Vega doesn't choose to pursue me any further. Unfortunately, Janna in this entire time was distracting the Lee Sin from me, and does eventually die to the Lee Sin. But overall, I did get another 3 kills there, so really getting even more fed. And Lux Ultimate actually manages to steal the Herald. So overall, we got everything out of that. We got a triple kill from the fight in trading for Janna's life, and we also got the Herald. Now here I kind of fail my dash over the wall. That wall a little bit too thick. Rarely ever happens, but sometimes it does. So Lee Sin kind of trapped there, but Lee Sin way too mobile, so he does dash over the wall. This time I do manage to get the dash over the wall, and I do manage to pick up the kill on the Lee Sin. So 4 kills like within a span of a minute out of nowhere. Which means when I go back to get items, I'm really going to be fed. Here, I can't actually reach anybody because of the Veigar K, so I contribute my ultimate, which is the only form of damage I can really hit without getting into close range. But unfortunately, the Singed, as you guys can see, despite having only Liandry's and Rylai is not really defensive items. He's still super duper tanky, so I can't really do too much damage to him. So instead, we're just going to rotate over. Another fight happens. Nice hook by the Darius. He gets the kill onto Singe, gets his passive propped, and goes on the chase for more. But the Vega Arcade just managed to cut the rest of the team off. And yeah, so here I'm just going to quickly clear out that huge wave. I see the fight happening, so I'm quickly going to rotate back over to the fight. Lucian sort of starts off the dragon, and our whole team and their whole team pretty much all here contesting dragon again. So this team, this game very team fight heavy in terms of contesting dragons and heralds. Pretty much every objective is contested. Nice hook by the Darius onto Sona. I dash straight into the Veigar cage again, and Lux does pick up the kill on the Sona. I dash away from Lee Sin and do get the kill on him as well. Here I get up a full culling onto the Akshan, but the Veigar ult does finish me off because, you know, Veigar ult, just doing Veigar things. Pretty much the best part about Veigar is that ult. So here, 3 of them going onto one Singed. Singed going for that Lux, and everybody else trying to go for that Singed. Olaf trying to go for that Singed. Lux does manage to escape. Olaf misses the axe. Still continues to go after the Singed. Janna's run out of mana. Here in comes Darius. Darius goes for the Singed. And there we go. We finally got the Singed. So in the meantime, we can also go for the Dragon. Rift Herald summoned in the top lane by Lux. Apparently as either a distraction or trying to crash into tier 2. But that's not going to get us any towers. So here Lee Sin trying to come in for the steal again. Nice disrupt by the Janna, but Lee Sin is still in the pit. So that's a huge risk. Olaf missmites yet again, by the way, with 70 health left, but Lee Sin didn't actually have smite up, so couldn't actually get the steal. But this Olaf smites are horrible. This is not going to be the last time he does that. So here, I use a blind culling into the bush area to get the kill onto the Lee Sin, who I knew would be somewhat there. And just look at that one shot by the Veigar. I was like about half health, but that's still instantly one shot on you. That was insane. I didn't think that would kill me, but it did. So, wow. So either way, we actually have our 3 crit items completed already, including the Solari Chargeblade. Now we're 10 and 2. So really snowballing and really doing very well. So we gone for the Solari Chargeblade build, as I mentioned, because number 1 we're ahead, and also number 2 because, you know, the enemy team is all really squishy aside from the Singed. So Solari Chargeblade build will serve us well to basically demolish, burst down, insta-kill anybody on the enemy team aside from the Singed. Lee Sin actually goes for a Sunder and Black Cleaver, so he'll be a little bit harder to burst than the rest, but still not going to be too bad. Now another fight breaks out, this time over nothing. There's no objective there, but here either way I'm of course going to run straight over and help my team. Veigar is sort of split from his team, and Veigar is at this point in time the most fed member of the enemy team, so without him around we should be winning this fight pretty easily. Singe actually escapes on 1 HP. I accidentally walk into the Veigar cage again and eat a Veigar W. Let's just say it's not my favorite champion to play against, definitely, in terms of Veigar. But here, we did get the pick onto the Lee Sin at the cost of basically nothing. So, get a free pick onto Lee Sin, and we can try to push down mid just a little bit. But the enemy team all responds really quickly, so nothing is really going to come of it. And we're just going to have to back off. Now here, don't quite have to back. I still have a ton of health and mana, so I'm just going to go ahead and start farming. Now, I see the entire blue side jungle is up, so I'm just going to take the blue side jungle. Lucian actually consumes a whole lot of mana, so having blue buff does, of course, help a lot. But of course, red buff would be preferable. So yeah, there we go. Right, so here I actually see Darius trapping in the tri-bush, although he just showed himself. So here our whole team of 4 is just going to head over to the area, see if we can catch off any enemies off guard. And all 5 men are here. And here we're just seeing if we can catch anybody off guard. Veigar shows up to the party, and so does Singe and Akshan actually, but they do get the catch onto the Veigar. Me and Janna are a little bit split from the rest of our team, and I tried to contribute my ultimate, which I do land onto the Akshan. Akshan is left at 1 HP. Trying to chase the Singe here to get the kill. The slow is pretty strong, so I do end up having to flash over to auto him twice for that kill. But overall, we did get 3 kills, so that's really good. And we can still actually try to go for more. We're trying to go for a clean ace. There goes Sona, and only Lucian is left. Lucian is trying to chase the Janna down, but not really working out too well for that Lee. So Lee chases her all the way to under the tower, and the rest of the team collapse onto him, and there he goes. So clean ace onto the enemy team. Elder Dragon is 30 seconds from spawning, so can't quite just simply get the Elder Dragon or anything like that. But the enemy team does instantly surrender, so we do win the game either way. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching the video. I'll leave you guys with the stats as usual, and goodbye.